I mean, were you ever part of the family business?
No, I wasn't.
Why is that?
I guess I'm the only girl. My parents are quite Asian.
Welcome everybody to GMT8. Today I have my guest Sara Yap together with us. She is the founder of 21st Mind, a company that helps children with their education in programming, coding, and design thinking as well, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Hello, everyone. I'm Sarah. Nice to meet you.
Yes. Good to have you on board. So what got you into this business of helping children to really elevate their skills?
That's a good question. It's something that I get very often as to why I started this business. But just to share an interesting story, because when I was training a lot of interns and fresh graduates, I realized that if they start to learn all these digital skills during the university or even at workplace, it's a bit too late for them. And because nowadays we can't really, we are really powered with by technology nowadays. And you can't really run away from using basic digital skills like Excel or even all the way to coding. And that's why I realized why not we have people or the kids to start younger so that they can build up the skills, and by the time they enter universities or workplace, they are more ready than ever.
Oh, okay. And so what is the typical age? What's the lowest age that you all start with?
At the moment, we start with 6 up to 17 years old.
Okay.
Yeah.
So and you how long have you all been in the market for?
So 21st Mind, we started in year 2020, and that's where we hit the pandemic as well at the same time. But when we started, because of the pandemic, we moved everything online. That's also where a lot of parents realized the importance of having equipped their children with digital skills. And I guess up till today, we are 3 years in the business. There are more and more parents getting the awareness that how important it is for their kids to get started with digital skills education.
So when you started in 2020, would you say that with the pandemic, it was a blessing for your business? It created the environment, that was perfect for your business?
I guess I can say that I think there are pros and cons. There are two sides of things, right? First thing is that because of the awareness towards digital skills, everyone, a lot of technology companies, there's a boom in it, and parents realize that, oh, wait, if my kids are involved in technology, perhaps one day they will be like those tech giants. And on the other side, some parents they feel that maybe it's too much screen time. So because their online classes, it's already from 9 to 3. And then with my class, it's also another screen time.
Yeah.
So there are things that they will consider not to have the kids to join any more online classes.
So right now, you all do hands-on training right now? Is it fully hands-on training?
Yep, it's all fully physical. Once in a while, we also get requests where the kids want to do online classes. As much as possible, if they can come for physical, we'll advise for a physical class. The reason being, our classes are very interactive. So not only they learn things, right, they will also have to interact with their peers, with the coaches. And there are a lot of times the interaction that you get physically versus online is very different. But at the moment, I'm also conducting online class with a few children from the US.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the only online class that we have.
Wow. Okay. So you're not just focusing on the Malaysian market, you're open to international markets as well. Okay.
That's right.
Yeah. So of course, the hot topic right now is AI. Right. So how are you integrating AI within your modules and your teachings to the kids?
That's a great question. Thanks for that. So just to share, 2 months ago, I actually ran a session where I taught the kids how to use ChatGPT. And of course, we will highlight to the kids that ChatGPT is something that can leverage on to help you in your learning. But as much as possible, they have to adhere to their school guideline, because there are instances that, for example, writing essays, we want to make sure that they don't just copy and paste, and of course the school will be a concern, right? So other than teaching them how to use the tools in order to help them in their learning, we also teach them the ethical side of things, because we want to make sure that whatever technology that you use, not only you appreciate and you know how to use, but you also understand if there's any abuse or misuse, it will also give you other consequences.
Okay. So you already showed the two sides of the coin, right? The pros and cons, and make sure that they are guided. So one of the biggest concerns, I suppose, when it comes to parents nowadays is like, with ChatGPT out there, what if my kid doesn't know how to think for themselves, right? So how are you all facilitating that whole process of thinking?
Perfect question. It's also my opportunity to create more awareness for the parents. I think there are a lot of parents actually came to me and asked about, they are worried that in future their kids won't have any job, or the jobs that they have will be replaced by AI. But on the other hand, when we taught the kids, one thing is that we focus a lot on foundation skills, because by doing coding, by doing all the design work, the animation, creating game, you are actually training your logical thinking skills. There's a lot of problem solving, or even to the extent that we call it computational thinking. That means when you face a big problem, how do you break down into smaller problem to solve? And then coupled with AI, if you know how to use AI properly, you actually know how to also apply your logical thinking skills with AI. So this is one joke that I tell the kids. I said, because when I ask them, do you think you are better than AI? This is just an opening question that I will ask them. They say, no, AI is so much smarter than us. Then when during the course, I will also add in a bit more context in that. Let me teach you how to be smarter than AI. Because if a child can combine AI in their day-to-day learning, I believe they can be ahead of a lot of people.
Wonderful. Yeah. And you're really shaping the future of the next generation. So what got you into teaching kids, really? I mean, it's not something that's really suited for everybody, and some people are drawn to, but what's your personal story in that?
I would personally say I'm not a patient person.
And yet you're dealing with kids.
Yeah, and I think it's a very interesting path that I'm taking now, because when I first started working, I was quite active in a lot of voluntary work. And then one of it that gave me that inspiration was probably because I was helping one of the NGO to teach kids, the refugee kids. And that's where I started figuring out, actually teaching kids is not that difficult after all. Putting aside the patient side of things, I feel like it's very, there's a lot of sense of achievement when the kids finally learn something new and they appreciated all the hard work that you have done for them.
Could you share with us some of the the stories that you would like to highlight, from the kids, after they've gone through the program with you? What are their own personal accomplishments, that you've seen?
Sure. So one of the most memorable students that I have, and he's still with me, he come from a family where he's not local, and because of certain circumstance, he has to be homeschooled. And when he joined me, he was already at the age of 9 years old. When he joined, he barely can speak English, barely can communicate, and the way he communicate, because homeschool, he don't know how to interact with his peers. So the way he speak is very directive, it's not polite in our own interpretation. And when he joined our class, right, there's a lot of things that I realized he slowly pick up. His behavior or personality slowly to change. He has a bit better interpersonal skills. And now he's one of our, what we call the junior innovators or junior coach. Because from now onwards, right, that when we have a lot of events or roadshow, he will be one of the very first person that we recommend for him to coach other juniors, which is also children.
Wow.
And this is a very great transformation that I see. He has been with us 2.5 years to 3 years. The transformation is just not something that you can just it's not something that you can just pay by money. It's you have to slowly see the step by step. Of course, along the way, there's a lot of frustration from us also, because it's very difficult for us to get him understand. But because he also has the right attitude to learn, we realize those the effort also goes. We have to give credit to him. How he willing to accept our opinion, and then how he also now willing to teach and also learn from other peers.
Wow. So from someone who from a child that usually when it comes to social interactions is very direct, very brash, right? And then after going through the course and journey with y'all being able to communicate effectively with one another, and not only that, be a leader as well. Yeah.
Yep.
So what do y'all do to be able to cultivate an environment like that and nurture that within the kids?
So I think this is something that because the nature of the class is being conducted, so imagine in our class the kids are not divided because of their age group or whatnot, but they are all put together regardless whether you are a new joiner, you are really advanced. We always encourage them to help each other. For example, some of the more junior kids, they will ask questions, and then instead of the coaches answering the question, we will get the more senior ones to see if they willing to help out or if they can give some guidance to the younger ones. This is how we cultivate those leadership skills. And at the same time, I always tell the parents, we don't give answers here. So this is another way that how we make the kids learn and think, even to the extent that when they ask questions, they cannot say, I don't know, but rather they will phrase it in such a way that it's a very specific thing that they don't know. They will tell us what effort they have put in to look for the answers, and when they're stuck, they will be able to describe what have they done in order to try to troubleshoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's very much on first sparking the curiosity within them, and then assessing what sort of steps they have personally taken, and then you all work together on the troubleshooting process, right?
Yeah.
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 So what were some of the most challenging kids or scenarios that you have personally faced, within the business?
Kids or scenario.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the challenge never come from the kids actually. I mean, if you think about it, kids, they are quite innocent and vulnerable, right? So as long as we can communicate, and then we can understand each other, eventually they will get there. But the challenging part in terms of the business will be how do we ensure that parents don't focus on a very academic point of view, because I would say maybe it's our culture or our traditional education system, right? A lot of times people will be looking at how soon can my kids finish this and able to do this, or how well is my kids doing compared to others, why is my kid not able to code this project. So this question that's where I have to a bit more patient and explain to the parents, because over here self-paced learning, we allow the kids to explore based on their interests. So we cannot compare certain kids with other kids because each of them will have their own progress. And a lot of times there are certain kids that are more creative compared to certain kids that are more technical. So that doesn't mean creative is no good. Because in terms of creativeness, they like to spend more time in designing their project, making making sure that every single details is good. So naturally, they will take more time to complete the same project compared to the others. And this is where we have to explain to the parents, we realize that your kids prefer doing a lot of creative work. That's why he's spending a bit more time in working on the project.
So it's a self-discovery process
Yes.
as well, right?
Yes.
So what would you say to parents? Okay, by the time that you send your child through our 21st Mind program, what can they expect out of it?
I think there will be a lot of things. And first, definitely what I would say is that you will see they are very different. Because why I say that, the way they think will be very different. I would say, because as much as possible, we want to simulate the real world. How is it like in real world? How people actually work, right? So by going through our courses, our programs, they won't have any issue working, I believe, because then they already know in the real world, not everyone give you answer. Nobody's responsible for you. So how do you go and be self-resourceful and look for the answers? So that's one transformation I believe we can see. And then second thing is that I always mention digital skills is something that is so important now. It's as important as being able to read and write and also do mathematics. So imagine now that they start with me, and then at the end of, say, they finish their, even entering secondary school, they will be so much more ahead of their peers because the resources that they know where to find and all this, and being able to have a self-directed learning, they will be so much more ahead of their peers. So these are the two main things that I will see in their transformation.
Wow. Okay, so very much on being independent thinkers, very resourceful, and then being ahead of the curve because of their grasp of technology, right? So, then what is your vision for, these kids beyond after they've gone through 21st minds? What is that vision that you have of them, or you imagine them turning out to be?
Yeah. So when I designed this program, when I started the center, my vision is really to ensure that all the children will have the transferable skills. Because you remember the story that I just said earlier, right? I was a bit frustrated with the fresh graduates and interns. So that's where I have the vision where I want to make sure that the children, they have learned all the skills that they need. And these skills are transferable skills that they can make use forever in their whole life. Because I believe if you are very strong in technical skills, the requirement for technical skills will change. The technology will change. But if you have the right transferable skills like soft skills and the way you think, then however no matter how much the world changed, right, you will still be able to adapt to it. So that's the vision for me.
Nice. So touching back on the fresh grads, what's the biggest challenge that you face with them?
Fresh graduates and interns. I think not to pinpoint anything. I think it's just maybe a generation change and all, right? A lot of times, I realized this is, and also one thing that I analyze, because in their traditional education journey, they are trained in such a way that they only tackle exams. So it comes to that they memorize things. And when they come to the real world, there's no textbook and exam to tell you this is right or wrong. It's all about how do you apply the knowledge that you have, right? So when it comes to real world, when you give instruction, they won't be able to work on high level instruction. You have to give like step by step, 1, 2, 3, almost like putting up an exam answers. So this is where I realized there's a gap in terms of what we need in the workplace versus what they have been through during their educational journey.
So one of the reasons why you are in the business that you're in is mold them while they're young, right? Where they are fresh, right? So do you intend to conduct courses for like fresh grads and the sort as well, or is that something you all are already offering?
Yep, it's something that I'm already doing on my personal accord. So recently, I have been to 2 states in Kuching as well as Terengganu to conduct innovation courses for university graduates.
Wow, okay.
It's actually quite intense. In the 5 days, they have to go through a whole series of the innovation project. Like they have to come up with an idea, find a solution, validate or interview some of the people, and then eventually they have to pitch at the Shark Tank.
Wow. Okay. Could you highlight some of the interesting pitches or things that came out of that?
Sure. Definitely, I also see a very good transformation in the university students because what they mentioned to me, so they come from different background, engineering, accounting, computer science and all, right? What they mentioned to me is that a lot of times they never knew that they actually learn these things before, because when I ask them questions and all, right, they're trying to wait for me to give the answers. So even to the extent that when I say, okay, can you just do a Google search, and then they will read out the answers to me. So then I have to switch on the same mode of teaching how I teach in 21st Mind and say, okay, let's break down all these things together. Can you give me a narrative of what you're trying to solve? So instead of waiting for me to give you that prop one by one, right, can you tell me a story about it? So then this is also one thing, at the end of the Shark Tank, I was quite impressed of in the 5 days how much they have changed. And even to the extent that those who didn't dare to speak up at the very beginning, on day 5, they are actually the one answering the questions from the sharks.
Wow. So through the process, they also build up their confidence. And would you say that confidence comes from the feeling of being more competent? And because they've learned the process, or is there like certain facilitation that you all do to help build up their confidence?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's through practice and the environment that we give them. So one thing shared by them was that the reason why at the beginning they don't dare to speak up is because first thing first, they are very concerned about their English, how they express in English. And second thing is that because they are so afraid of making mistakes. So when we allow them, we say this environment is a very safe environment. If you make mistake, you can learn from the mistake, come back up and learn from the mistake, improve. And then we have other friends to help you to improve as well. So we create the environment where even though they cannot speak fluently, but we help each other to make sure that you can express your thoughts. And then we also said that, okay, if you have not done this very well, what kind of feedback can you incorporate in your next presentation? So this is an environment that we try to create for them.
Ah, nice. Yeah. So it's not just about the content, but the environment that
Correct.
y'all create. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also know that from your background, you've gone through like the corporations, Fortune 500 companies, and all of that, right? So why start your business when you've gone through the corporate ladder route?
Yeah, this is also something that I actively share with the startup community, right?
Yeah.
I think it's always good to have a corporate experience first. Because in the corporate, you learn a lot of things that you should do and you shouldn't do. And when you come out to the startup world, you will know how to make use of the corporate experience and run like a startup. Because in startup, you cannot have too many SOPs and all to restrict your work, right? But because I know those SOPs, I know also how to navigate around the SOPs. So that's one that corporate experience gives me. And there are certain things that you need to work in a more structured way so that you can go to the next phase of your startup. The corporate will actually give me all those experiences.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So was it always within your mind that I want to start my own business? Straight from graduation or whatsoever. Did you always have that in mind?
I think definitely yes. I don't. I mean, just to reflect on my own personality, I don't think I'm suited for the corporate world for the longest time. So yeah, but now I get a very good balance between the corporate world and the startup world.
Ah, okay. Yeah. So what is it that you actively do right now in the startup community? I mean, you mentioned that you're very active in the startup community. What is it that you do in that space?
Yeah. So I will share just last 2 years I've met a bunch of very close knitted startup community and they're very supportive. And ever since then, right, when I join the events, I get to know a bit more startups. That's where we share experience with each other, we help each other. So let's say someone said that, oh, I'm facing challenge in training my talents. How do we do that? So we will actively contribute our advice and experience about it. And also at the same time, some of the newer startup founders, I will also give my advice because at the same time I'm coaching corporate in terms of innovation, right? This is where I can give them a bit more advice on if you want to do certain things, what could be the way that you can do it. And also if I have any network that I can connect them to, that's something that I will help them as well.
Okay, so other than the coaching, it's all about networking and being able to leverage off each other's resources as well. Okay,
right.
great. So what planted that seed of entrepreneurship in your mind in the first place?
I wish it's in my blood, running in my blood. Could it be? Because actually my dad is a businessman, right? And then my three of my brothers also, after they finish their school, they also help my dad in running business. So I can't be the only one not doing business, isn't it?
Okay.
But yeah, I guess that's the exposure from young because I still remember when my dad, when I was younger, when my dad go for business meeting, there are times that I would tag along, and then I would start conversation with those uncles. Yeah, that's probably the seed that have been planted in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what is it that made you decide? I mean, were you ever part of the family business?
No, I wasn't.
Why is that?
I guess I'm the only girl. My parents are quite Asian in the way that they said, you must take accounting. So when you become an accountant, it will be the steel rice bowl, what Chinese say. So if you're an accountant, it's a steel rice bowl for you. So study for the accountant.
Was that the path of your studies?
Yes. So surprisingly, I actually did accounting and finance for my studies, but I was never an accountant.
Okay, interesting. Yeah. So what made you make that decision to break away from that mindset? right? Of just going with that steel bowl certainty and then going for entrepreneurship. What was the deciding moment? Because I'm sure there was pressure from your parents to say go this path, but you instead you went another.
I started with the very good company because that time when I graduated, I wasn't sure whether I want to. It was a matter of choosing what kind of audit firm you want to go to. But another opportunity came, and I ended up joining a consulting firm, a technology consulting firm. So that's where I started my technology career. And once I go on that career, I realized that technology career is actually much more interesting because there are so many things, exciting things that are happening. And until today, I still say that I didn't choose the wrong thing because now technology is what is everyone talking about, right? Although my parents still don't understand what I do today, but I guess being on the technology side of things, I get a bit more exposure compared to my friends who are in the audit firm.
Yeah. And I find that there's always this trying to explain what we're doing gap, with the older generations. And I suppose, from hearing your own personal experience in exploring and then finding out, oh, this is something that I want to do. This is something that you instill within 21st Mind as well, right?
Yes.
That this path of discovery. Okay. So, with that, we're going to go onto a short break. And then when we come back, we'll talk more about, your hobbies in extreme sports. But not only is she an entrepreneur with 21st Mind, but she's also in the F&B business. So stay tuned. Okay, here's a word from our sponsors.
Asia, the world's #1 digital marketing software platform and fastest growing entrepreneurship community, is now free for life. Your complete digital products and services online sales system, all the tools you want to run your internet business, everything you need to sell products and services online. No credit card, zero fees, it's just free. Discover the new better way to start an online business, build websites, and sell digital products. Create a full website with unlimited products and funnels, with free hosting, subdomain, and custom domain capability, and with more integrations so you can automate your business. It's truly the last online sales system you will ever need. Save thousands a month with free lifetime access to the top most powerful apps in the industry, including the #1 leading page and funnel building platform in the world, with thousands of brand new members making a switch over every single day. Plus, get free access to our private community, free live training, and free affiliate marketing business opportunity. Discover how to get started for free, secure your free lifetime membership today, and access your free software, training, and bonuses right now. Free for a limited time, only at grooveasia.cn.
And welcome back to GMT8. So diving back in, Sarah. So I've heard that not only are you, you have your business with 21st Mind, but you're also in the F&B business. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, sure. I guess because I would call myself a foodie.
Okay, yeah.
Pretty picky in my food as well. So this is also during pandemic where I came across the opportunity, because this is something that I thought initially I wanted to run a cafe, and the path brought me to running a children education. But during pandemic, I also realized another opportunity. And of course, in the F&B, so what I do is that with the F&B, we actually run a Korean restaurant in Hatamas, Desa Sri Hatamas. I would say I don't actively manage the business, but I have my partners. But of course, this is something that also close to my heart, because Korean food or even other sort of food, right? It's something that I always like to explore. Yeah, different tastes. That is something that I really like to explore, especially when I go on traveling. So that's why I thought, why not? I also put in my passion in terms of F&B.
Okay. And how long has this been going on for?
The F&B, quite similar to 21st Mind during the pandemic. So about 2 years plus.
Wow. So it seems that everything is concentrated on that specific point in time and range in time. What happened during that time to make you decide, I want to go 21st Mind, I want to go to F&B?
During pandemic, I guess it gives me a lot of time to reflect on what I want to do next, right? Because when I'm in the corporate, I have reached certain, I would say maybe it's a path that I want to make choices. And during a pandemic, when you're locked inside the house, you got nothing else to do. So that's where you find a bit more inspiration. You have more time to observe things, and you have more times to really see what is out there. And that's why when I came across the children education as well as the F&B, I started putting in some effort to do research, finding partners, and then finding location, of course, and then we decided that this is the right opportunity for us to start.
And during that process, did you have any doubt? Through the process, it's like, oh, should I not? Did
All
you?
the time.
All the time, even up
All
to
the
now.
time.
Okay.
I guess as much as a lot of people think the startup founders out there looks glamour in the sense, when you become a unicorn or when you receive different sort of awards and funding and all, right, it sounds very nice outside. But inside, it's also a piece of advice I will give any founders. You must have certain level of resilience and persistence. Resilience being, a lot of times, a lot of people will tell you different things. And then you feel like the failure is hitting you. But if you don't bounce back immediately, you will give up very easily. So this is where the persistence also is needed, because you have to really assess, is this the right time for you to give up? Or maybe you can do something to change the situation all over again.
What is your personal source of strength and resilience? When the times are the hardest, the pressure is the highest, you're accountable to so many people. What gets you through it all?
I guess I really want to retire early. So I have this life goal, which is something that I actively share. I wish that when by the age of maybe in the next 10 years, I can retire and I can enjoy a bit more things. But retired, that doesn't mean I don't work anymore. Retired, it means I can contribute actively back to the society. For example, I can go around and do more sharing like this. I can be a speaker to universities. So by having that so-called retirement life will allow me to have more flexibility in doing all these things. So that's why now it's my golden time to really fight for the life that I want to be.
Nice. So what is the message that you want to share? When you imagine, okay, when I retire 10 years down the road, what's the message that you will be sharing?
So sharing to any startup founders, perhaps?
Any startup founders, or the help that you want to give back to the community.
Sure. Set a goal, work for the goal. And along the way, don't let any other noises that don't matter to make you change your goal. Because a lot of times, even for myself, I will occasionally hear a lot of things people will say, give me advice and say, oh, you shouldn't be doing this, or maybe you should explore doing that. And all this feedback or opinion, I will also take it in. But it's also on me to decide, should I prioritize this opinion? And then if I prioritize this opinion, how would it change my goal? Because at the end of the day, my goal is that I really wish that at a point in time of my life, I can stop hustling and I can focus on doing more things that I like, especially in sports. I mentioned I really like sports as well, right? So I would say have that goal and work towards the goal.
Great. Yeah. So, with that as well, has your parents, come to accept the path that you have chosen for yourself?
I guess they don't have much say because I'm quite independent in everything. So, I mean, sometimes they will still ask me, oh, why are you working so hard? I mean, if you have a proper corporate job, 9 to 5, why do you have to work extra? Then for me, what I said to them is that as long as I enjoy what I'm doing, being tired is fine because I'm still young. I can still recover from it.
Okay, so with that youthful drive, it keeps you forward. So there's no any friction or tension. It's just like constant advice. Why from the parents?
Yeah, I think the only time that we had a bit of fight regarding this is because they said that I've not been home for the longest time. Because I think the time I was really busy with some accelerator program. And I was a bit stressed out when I came home. I was a bit stressed out, and then I didn't want to talk much and all, right? That's where it kind of triggered them and asked, why do I have to stress myself so much? Yeah, that's the only time. But until today, I think they kind of get to understand me more.
Yeah. Okay. So how is it that you unwind when it comes to facing off this stress?
food is one thing, definitely. Food, coffee, occasionally some short travel. And because also I have a bunch of friends that we do rock climbing together. So I would at least allocate some time every week to do rock climbing. I think that's where I kind of help to unwind myself. Because when you're doing rock climbing, you have to focus so much on the rocks that you have no time to think other things.
Yeah. Being present in the moment, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So what sort of rock climbing do you do? I mean, is it just the typical indoor, or do you also do outdoor rock climbing?
Both.
Wow.
Both. Indoor and outdoor.
Yeah. Well, what got you into rock climbing?
I think last time I actually had I completed some sort of certification, and then I didn't continue on because I guess maybe that time my friends, they're really no longer into the sports, right? And then just early last year, I bumped into a bunch of friends, the startup community I mentioned, and just happened to be that they also into the rock climbing. That's where, because all these sports, it requires a group of people or community that will encourage each other to continue going. So that's where I persist until now.
Okay. And what are some of the lessons from rock climbing that you see applies within your startup or with your career and your business in general?
Don't overthink. Go for it. So because rock climbing, a lot of times, especially in indoor, there are certain colors or route that you have to complete, right? And there are times that when you're stuck, you try to figure out how to move to the next step. And that's where you will think too much. It's like, oh, what if I do this? What if I do that? But I realized the less overthink you are, the faster you can move on to the next one. Because you can always give it a try. If it doesn't work, come back down, try again. So that's the main lesson that I learned. And rock climbing is not just about the strength or stamina. It's also about how you problem solve in a very calm way. And when it goes to outdoor climbing, this problem solve in a calm way, it applies even more, because outdoor you have nobody to tell you which one to hold on. There's no color for you to see. You really have to go and feel it and look for the best route for you to climb. So I guess rock climbing has really trained me to be a calmer person, especially when you're stuck.
Share with us, what's the scariest experience that you had from rock climbing?
The scariest, I think when I first started, I have this fear of falling. And then I always ask my partner, my belay partner, and ask, where should I go next? So because I wasn't very confident to move on to the next step. And then there's this guy I met, he said, who is not afraid of falling? So that is quite true, right? So then I think there was one time I was doing a more difficult route, and it was my first time doing it. I was almost at the edge of giving up because it was a bit painful in the sense that every single time I tried to grab the rock, I just couldn't. And it kind of hurts already. So then I got scarred from that climb because I scraped my skin off.
Wow.
But because of that, right, I said I've already been through so much pain. If I give up now, it's not worth it. So that's why I keep going. I think it took the longest time for me to finish that route, but eventually I finished.
Wow. So how long did it take for you to be able to overcome that initial fear of falling?
It took quite a few climbs. I think at least a month or two of the climb, and it also requires me to trust my belay partner. Yeah.
Wow. Okay, so through rock climbing, you learn about being able to be present in the moment, problem solve, and a trust aspect of trust, and build up your confidence throughout as well, right? So other than rock climbing, what other extreme sports are you into?
Well, pretty much, and I always realized all these extreme sports are expensive. So I'm also into diving, snowboarding as well. But given the nature of snowboarding and diving requires me to travel out, so this is not something that I can do very often. But I also very enjoy doing it, especially snowboarding gives you that kind of the feeling of being very fast, and then you kind of forget everything also, right? So going down the slope is something that kind of excitement I really enjoy. And diving as well, because the moment you dive into the deep sea, it's actually very calm and quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And you also can kind of let go everything in your mind, your busy mind.
Wow. So it's kind of like your meditative process in the sea, in the
Yeah.
ocean. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So have you always been a thrill seeker since young?
I guess I am. I'm never afraid of roller coaster.
Okay. What was your first encounter when it comes to thrill seeking when you were young?
Definitely roller coaster alike kind of thing. I think back then we have Sunway Lagoon, Genting Highland, right? Those people so called the scariest ride. I'm always the first one to go for it. And I was fine. I'm always the one like looking happy and laughing.
Yeah.
But my friends are like there looking pale.
So you always like the challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. Then so with your journey, right? I think one of the topics that people will say is like, as a woman in be it in corporate or in business or maybe even in these extreme sports, right? It can be very challenging. Is that something that you agree with?
In terms of business, I would say now has gone much better. Well, even though the startup community, I think we are pretty balanced nowadays. Because a lot of women can really step up and do the same thing as the guys. But in terms of sports, I would say as much as we can do the same thing, but in terms of strength, there's still a difference. Sometimes I still need the guy to give me a lift.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So through your journey, it's more or less been like, okay, as long as I put in the effort, I get the results, and there's no like stereotyping or discrimination, at least from your experience.
Yeah, so far I've not experienced any discrimination because of gender bias.
Yeah.
At least in this part of the world.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. And so who do you think entrepreneurship is not for?
Entrepreneurship is not for people who can only work in a very structured environment. Because I have met someone who is so structured that everything must have SOP and step by step. The moment you derail from the SOP, he will get frustrated and don't know what to do. So because in entrepreneurial journey, a lot of things are very messy, and we cannot always follow SOP without considering other factors, and we have to adapt and be very agile. So for example, right, when there's a new requirement, let's say if this is after assessment and all this, you think that this is a good opportunity for us to proceed. So then your previous planning and everything, we have to kind of abandon or put aside first, right? And quickly adapt to or tune to this new opportunity and work on it. So if people who are very structured, they don't know what to do with it. They will get frustrated. So that's one thing for sure. People who are very structured will find it more challenging. And another thing is that people who are not willing to sacrifice in terms of your comfort, because nobody can guarantee being an entrepreneur you will succeed. So if you feel that I'm not willing to sacrifice my sleep time, I'm not willing to sacrifice my social time, then you probably want to consider a bit more if entrepreneurship is something that you want to go on.
And that's interesting what you mentioned, right, in terms of people who want that certainty of outcome and structure. So going back to what you mentioned, right, you said that you went into entrepreneurship because you want to retire 10 years down the road. And as we know, with entrepreneurship, there is no guarantees.
Yep.
Why entrepreneurship then?
Good one, this one. So this is something that I discuss actively with friends, right? Entrepreneurship, what I believe is that, of course, nobody can guarantee that in 10 years' time I can retire. But there's also something that if I believe, if I work for it, I will eventually get it. Maybe it's 12 years, maybe 11 years, or maybe 20 years. But eventually I will get somewhere. But in a corporate, it's just something that every year you look for promotion or look for the next company to go to. It's pretty much you have to pay for it and all, right? But in entrepreneurship, because I can also retire in 5 years if opportunity arises. So this is something that I think it gives me more excitement Entrepreneurial journey gives me more excitement in that sense.
Yeah. So it's
Yeah.
like how you see navigating the slopes. You see the challenges. You know that you get there, but opportunities arises throughout, right? So as we head towards the end of our session, what is your advice to aspiring entrepreneurs out there?
Experiential. Great. I think my startup community will be very proud of hearing this. Aspiring entrepreneur, I think first thing first, know what is your skill set. Because by knowing your skill set, then you know who are the co-founders or people around you that you can always get to know to complement your skills. Because you cannot be perfect, you cannot be good at everything. But once you know what your strength is and your weakness, your co-founders will be the best person to complement you, and you become a very strong team.
Work as a team, complement with each other. And also a thought came to my mind, what's a message that you would like to send out to 10 years from now? You
Myself.
personally.
I will give myself a pat on the shoulder. You have done well to come here today.
All right. Yeah, so wonderful. Right. It's great having you on our show, Sarah. And how is it that people can connect with you? What are the best channels to connect with you, Sarah?
Yep. So for all parents, if you really want your children to be on board on this journey, to be ahead of the peers, then you can find me on 21stmind.com. We are on Facebook. We have our website, Instagram, as well as TikTok. We have to go with the trend, right? And for those who are looking into innovation coaching or even startup mentoring, you can find me on LinkedIn, Sara Yap.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, feel free to connect with Sara Yap. And then if you would like to hear more from her, type it into the comments. And then with that, thank you very much, everybody. Remember to like, share, and follow for more inspiration.
Thank you.
All right.